My name's Gerrard and I am the manager of Glasgow Rangers of Scotland. I think education's so important for an aspiring coach. I think in this game you can never stop learning. I think every day you come into work is an opportunity to grow, learn and develop yourself, especially coming into full-time management only a couple of years back. I try and use my time wisely when I'm in the workplace, but also away from the training ground and the stadium. I like to look at other managers to try and learn off. I try and read. I try and look at managers of the past, the present. So I just think every bit of time you can use to try and develop and grow and improve. I think you've got to use that. I think it's so important to never stand still. I always had that attitude as a player, to even coming into my 30s, I always try and improve all parts of my game as a player, and I think I want to continue that mentality as a manager. I think there's probably a dozen managers ever who can probably say that they can't learn anymore. Your Alex Fergusons of this world, your Arsene Wengers, and for me, because I'm new to it, I want to have the attitude where I don't want to ever think I've hit me ceiling. I want to continue to push the boundaries and improve and grow, and I think there's so much and so many parts to being a manager where there's always something, whether you can gain that 1% in whatever area. It could be a different language, it could be on-pitch experience, it could be how you deliver presentations. There's so many parts to being a manager, man management. How can you stop growing and improving in that side of the game, because the challenges are different on a daily basis. So I think the attitude for me is never think you're there, always try and push that ceiling and that boundary. I think using the word experience is the key when it comes down to leadership, because I think with experience you learn from your mistakes as you go along and you continue to grow. Especially as a young player growing up, you always need to use your mistakes and your setbacks to try and drive you on and move yourself forward and become a better leader. I think the key to it, whether you're a player or a coach or a manager, is always trying to set that example. I think a lot of people, whether it be supporters or young players or your players, always look to you as a leader, and they look to your behaviour, they look to your standards. They look to how you approach certain challenges and certain things on a daily basis. So I think your body language and your behaviour and your example is what people look to, and a lot of people follow in football, and a lot of people will go with you if they see you doing the right things. So if you keep your standards very high and you continue to do the right things, I think you've got more chance of becoming a better leader. Well, I think from going from the academy to first team level, there are two different types of challenges. And I think for me, the important thing from going from being a player into the coaching was the first thing I had to do was park the ego of being a player. So I had to understand I'm not Gerrard, the player, anymore. Of course, I can use my experiences and the highs and lows and the journey of my career in certain situations of being a coach, but I had to start from the beginning. So I had to go through the processes of qualification in the coaching badges. I had to work with the younger age groups to get me confidence and me self-esteem right from the coaching side of it, because you're completely out your comfort zone. It's brand new, it's completely different from being a player. So once I got my mind around the fact that only Gerrard, the player, will help you in certain situations, it was basically starting from the beginning, the coaching. So getting onto the pitch, getting me confidence of coaching young players, small-sided coaching, and then growing it and getting used to coaching 11v11. And I really loved the experience, of being a coach on a daily basis. I loved going into the academy to coach these boys and really seeing them develop. And I was developing myself, so making mistakes away from the cameras was the key to me, getting things wrong. And then obviously the opportunity came at Rangers. It probably came a bit too soon in terms of my plan, but sometimes you've got to go off plan. Sometimes you've got to take a risk or a gamble or a challenge, which I'm not afraid of. And then obviously the Rangers job came about, which I'm really getting my teeth into at the moment, and I'm really loving the experience. I think the process when you're looking for players at whatever level, I think it's all about the due diligence and the information you can get on the players. You know, for me, it's not just about talent. I think it's very easy for anyone to identify a good footballer. I think when you're recruiting, if there's money involved or it's to strengthen your team or your club, I think you have the responsibility to make sure that first and foremost it's the right person. Yes, of course, you're going to be going for these players for a reason because they're talented, so that's a gimme. You have to put all the pieces, for me, around the talent. What's he like in terms of mentality? Is he going to work hard for you? Is he going to push the boundaries for you? Is he a family man? You know, does he look after himself off the pitch? You know, does he live his life to be a player? I think all these little tiny pieces of the jigsaw have to go around your talent, and if you get most of them right, I think you make less mistakes when it comes down to recruitment. But depending on what level of the game you're involved, different challenges come. The qualities I look for in my coaching staff, I think the main important one is trust. I think you've got to trust each other. I think you've got to have a tight-knit group, and you've all got to be on the same page. So in terms of looking for players, you know, how do we play is the key thing. You know, is this player going to fit into our way of playing and our philosophy? Where in our team and our squad do we feel like we're a bit weak? Where do we need it strengthening? Where are the key areas? Who are the players that are going to make the difference? So there's a lot of conversations and a lot of meetings that go behind the scenes that maybe your normal fan or the outside public wouldn't see. But as a manager and a coach, my day in and around the games, there's a lot of meetings involved to discuss individual players or how do we strengthen moving forward. So recruitment and scouting, I'm heavily involved in them meetings. When you talk about psychologists and psychiatrists and stuff, obviously they're experts in their field. I think the way I look at that is if you can gain an advantage as a player or a member of staff or a coach, or you feel as if these people can gain you any kind of advantage, I'm quite open to improvements in the sports science, improvements in the environment, improvements here, there and everywhere. I'm always looking to marginal gains. Now, if I feel like a psychologist can come in and help an individual player or help my team or help me, I'm really open to gain that advantage. When you talk about cultures, it's such a big word. There's a lot of things involved. I think what's key is the working place. So the environment, I think you have to create an environment where your staff and your players and the support staff around the first team really enjoy coming in. I think if you create an environment and a workplace where people get in the car every morning and they're really excited to come into work, I think that's where the magic happens, because it doesn't matter what role you're in. If you're enjoying work, you want to do your job properly. You want to improve, you want to continue to grow, you want to give your best, and you feel part of the culture and you feel part of the end game, which is winning football matches. So what I try to do when I come in at Rangers is connect everyone. So connect the academy to the first team, connect the staff, make everyone feel involved, and really make sure that the first team players make all the staff involved and all become one. And hopefully that'll put us in good stead moving forward. I think it's so important to deal with the individual needs, especially as a manager. I think a big part of being a coach or a manager is that man management. You know, every player is different. Different things happen on a daily basis. So I think the communication from coach to player, manager to player, I think that trust and that understanding, I think you have to make the players feel like you're there for them. You know, of course you want them to play well and you want them to be in good form. But for me, I have a motto where it's family first and football second. So I always make sure that their families are fine and there's no issues off the pitch and they're coming in with a clear mind to work. And then I think you have that relationship and that trust with the player that, yeah, you're there for them, yeah, you support them, but they know when it's time for them to be pushed from a football side of it as well. I think it's important the communication goes up, as well as, you know, you can't just think about your players and look what's in front of you. It's important that there's good relationships with your technical director, with your managing director and with the board as well, and the board feel involved and the board are always up to speed with what you're trying to do and what you're trying to achieve. It can't be a situation where you're quiet for weeks and months and then all of a sudden you're going and asking for something and they're asking questions why, what's going on. So to make them part of it and going back to what I said earlier, trying to connect everyone at the club and everyone knows your style of play, everyone knows where you're trying to improve and develop and evolve. I think that helps. So communication's key up, in front and also down as well, so the academy and the younger age groups. I think you have to respect the media. You know, they're a powerful tool, whether you're a player or whether you're a part of the coach. I think it's very important as a player and a coach to have the right balance. So when you're in good form and things are going well and people are writing great things about you, it's always important to stay humble and grounded. Of course, get the confidence from the praise you're getting, but don't get, ahead of yourself and get overconfident. At the same time, if you're having a bad time and you're getting a bit of stick and maybe some of that stick's not constructive, I think it's important not to get too down and feel sorry for yourself and let it affect your form moving forward. And it's the same as a manager. When we're winning and we're in good form, I have to keep pushing the standards and making sure that people stay level-headed and grounded. And when things are against us and there's a bit of pressure and all the attention's on myself, I think I've got to stay strong and realise that we can play through it. So I think balance is the right way to deal with the media. And then from a personal point of view, always try and be respectful and humble how you deal with them. When you're trying to build resilience, balance is that key. I think when you suffer a setback, you'd have an individual mistake or your team don't play well or your tactics don't come off, I think it's important to keep believing in yourself and use these setbacks or these disappointments to learn from and to grow, to try and put it right next time. I think when you sign up to be a player or a coach or a manager, you have to understand that it's not always going to be win-win-win, or it's not always going to be positive. It's a journey of highs and lows, and if you always try and stay balanced during that journey, I think you'll always be fine to handle the setbacks or the good side of it. But that's the way football is. You have to accept that. And I think in any walk of life, you have to be ready for setbacks and stay strong through them. But at the same time, when you get that success and that good time, always be ready to move on as well and grow even when you're winning. The biggest advice I'd give to students, whatever part of the game or whatever journey or avenue they decide to go to, is just always believe in yourself and really embrace the challenges that are going to face you, because I think whatever you decide to do, you're going to face challenges. There's going to be ups, there's going to be downs. So stay balanced, embrace it, and keep working as hard as you can to achieve your dreams. That's what I always did from the age of 7, 8 years of age, and thankfully as a player I achieved the majority of what I set out to do, and hopefully whilst I'm journeying through these highs and lows, I'm hoping that I can go and achieve some special memories as a manager as well. So have that drive and that belief that you can get there.